Interviewing John Dean Schoen. What was the occasion for you getting into the military, John?
Well, I was a young lad and didn't have nothing to do where I was living. I lived, raised in Delia, Kansas, and
Delia?
Delia.
That's just north of here, isn't it?
North of Rossville.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a chance to earn a little money, $21 a month, and that's the reason I joined. I had several friends that joined with me, or up and down the after I was in, and said I liked it and this and that. So, and then when we were called into service on December the 23rd, 1940, and I talked to several others. My brother, Jesse Simecka, and he joined with me, and we, after we got in there, we were going to service for a year of training.
This was a National Guard unit?
The National Guard unit here in St. Mary's. And we went from here December the 23rd, 1940 to Camp Robinson, Arkansas. And we were almost through with our training when Pearl Harbor happened, and that held us in. So we had to stay, and after that we...
Otherwise you would have come home, is what you're saying?
Yes, we were ready to come home. I wanted to do, but then we got shut off. Anyway, we moved to, from there, Camp Robinson, Arkansas, to Fort Ord, California. And while we were in Fort Ord, California, I was lucky enough to go on maneuvers in the desert 2 years in a row. And
okay, with the desert.
Well, after the desert, I went back to my outfit and for Fort Ord, and next thing we knew, we were being sent back. We were split. We split the outfit up, and our outfit was 195th, and the 397th was the other outfit, and it went to Alaska, and we went back to Fort Leonard Wood. I forgot that a while ago anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
was this was a unit that left from here in St. Mary's?
Yes.
But how many men? Over 100 men?
Huh?
Was it over 100?
No, no. We had, well, I think there's 68 in that picture.
This is the picture over here?
Yes. And it was...
Where was this picture taken?
At Camp Robinson, Arkansas. And the first unit we went to.
And you knew most all of those men?
Please?
You knew most all of those men?
Yes, because when we were in St. Mary's, and then when we went down there, well, the whole outfit was there, officers and all. And
but you were divided then, somewhat to Alaska and...
yeah, and that's... that was it for there. And then
in this desert training, you did live firing practice?
We did, with our outfit was with a signal group, hanging wires for telephone and communications deal. And anyway, the outfit I was assigned to, we were stringing wires on telephones and everything else, and that's when I first seen General George Patton. he was riding on a tank and seeing what we were doing, and we all stopped to salute him, and he says, "Carry on, boys, carry on." And I'll never forget that. It shook us. We were all standing there at attention and everything else. But anyway, that's it.
You have to get us over to Europe now.
We had done, and then we moved back to our camp, our outfit, and then we go to the Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And while we were there, they were getting ready to go overseas, and I was sent down with a bunch of people to end up in New York, and with advanced detail. And from there, we went. Took us 15 days to go zigzagging across the ocean to get to northern England. And while we were going there, I met. I was down shooting craps on one of the, what do you call it, the decks. And while we were there, I seen somebody go by, and I hollered at him, "Captain, hi Captain." He wouldn't listen to me, and I says, "Frankie." And it was Captain Laycock from St. Mary's, Kansas, that it was with me, but he was taking new recruits for Air Force. And then after that, when we landed in England, then we moved down to Atherstone, England. Atherstone, and I've seen it on a world map something once in a while. I looked at it anyway. And then we went D-Day. After D-Day started, D-Day and plus 17, we went to France.
You were in England before D-Day.
Yes.
And in part of the training and preparation.
Yes.
But you weren't called to deploy.
No.
Until 17 days after.
Yeah. Well, we got across then 17 days after.
Mm-hmm.
D-Day.
Where in France did you go to then?
Down to
the southern France?
Southern France is all I can tell you. I can't remember no names. Mm-hmm. And that's where we started from. And then we followed up to the Battle of the Bulge and all.
What did you do when you first landed in France?
I went and dug me a foxhole. It was 6 foot deep and 6 foot long and 3 foot wide.
You in there by yourself?
Yes, I was. I wasn't letting anybody else in there unless they needed to be.
You dig that with a little old short-handled spade?
Short-handled shovel, yeah. That was terrible.
Must have took you several days.
Oh man, I tell you, it didn't take me long. I tell you for sure. When them bugs were firing over you.
You were already getting shot at.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were. There's some that when we first landed there, they tried to get us, and then they tried to get us with airplanes, and we kept hiding and while we were moving along. And one good friend of mine, he was my friend Joe McCoy, and but some way he got out of line somewhere and got captured for several months, but he did come back to us after we got up to the Battle of the Bulge. Why, the thing was, one few days it was over with then, and we went on through and we went to southern Germany to wait until we could go home.
Mm-hmm. What was the worst experience all that time?
Oh my God, the worst experience was digging that hole.
You dig more than one?
Well, yes, all the way long, but I didn't dig them that deep.
What kind of food were you getting all this time?
We were getting good food. We had a good cook. Dick Allen from here, he's in my picture here. He was with us all the time and everything, so but that was really good because they knew how to cook. That's one thing.
So many of the men in your outfit were from right here
Locally, yes. So at least almost 70 that I knew that was in my own outfit. I don't know how many more we took on later on, but then I can't remember that part.
You have a lot of casualties of that group from here?
No, not too many. This one boy was captured over there, and poor fella, he's in the hospital right now yet. He was a retired mail carrier in Topeka.
What kind of vehicles did you have to move?
Jeeps and 6x6s. We had big trucks too, and then we had Jeeps too. Yeah, but we were more or less we didn't have the guns, but we were the headquarters for the outfit.
Oh,
that's where that comes in. Yeah,
I see.
I mean, I can't remember what his name was, but he had a wonderful. I worked for him, yeah, Major Tucker. Major Tucker, that's who it was. And that's about the only thing I can remember what happened back in. Then when I got down into after service, I worked with the military government. I volunteered to work for them to do something, have something to do. Until my outfit got word to go home, why I went down to see my brother and find out if I could get in, and they took me back. So I will come back with my own outfit.
Your brother was with you?
Yes.
All this time?
All the time.
That's Frank Jesse?
Yeah.
And he's here living near to you right now?
Yeah.
So he had basically the same experience you did?
Oh, yes. Basically, yes. And he was a truck driver.
He was a truck driver?
Yeah.
So, you said you worked for the military government there in Germany?
Yes. We were taken to, when they get a bunch of people and bring them back to a certain camp, then we had to divide the Germans with the Italians with the Russians and this and that.
My.
It was something. It was interesting. I know that. But anyway, I was lucky. I had this time we had a lieutenant that was in charge of me, and I was actually a sergeant, 3rd grade, and 7 men. We would separate. Each one of us had a certain job to separate each other Russian or Italian or Romanian or who. But we had that, and they would split them up, and then they'd pick them up and take them to their own countries. That's what our job was.
Do you have interpreters to help you with that?
Oh yeah, had to.
And can you remember where that was in Germany?
Well, around Baghdad, I think that's one word that I usually think of. But anyway, it was such an experience and everything else that I just plumb forgot what towns we were there. But I know Baghdad was one. That's about the only one I know.
That's a town in Germany?
Yeah.
How'd you get home from there?
Well, when our outfit was called, we all went to, I don't know where, but we went to, I think it was southern France, and we came home on the same ship. But it was a ship that was loaded When it come home, they come down to New York and then to Fort Leavenworth, where we discharged out of. And that was in October the 30th, 1945. Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get back to Kansas?
Henry Rogie from Palmer, Kansas. His brother come back to meet him at Fort Leavenworth.
Oh.
And I owed him some money because I borrowed some from him when I lost playing poker. And anyway, I said, Henry, would you take me home to Rossville, Kansas? And he says, well, I'll have my brother drive you that way. We go around that way just as well. Instead of going up towards Nebraska. Anyway, when we got to Rossville, I grabbed my big bag, duffel bag, they called it, and got off at Rossville, and I walked through Rossville into the north edge of town and stood there for several hours waiting for somebody going to Delia, and then finally a guy come along, and I can't remember his name though, but he took me to Delia and dumped me off up there where my wife is staying with her family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You were married before you went to?
Yes, we got married in California.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what'd you do after that?
Well, I finally got a job with me and one of the Wiener boys.
Winger?
Wiener, my wife was a Wiener in Delia, and I married their youngest daughter. Anyway, he and I, Melvin Wiener, we both bought an axe and went out chopping hedges for his post. That's where we made our living on for a while until his other brother, he bought the store at Rossville, and I went to work for him. That's where I got in the grocery business.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you continue in the grocery business?
I came to St. Mary's and bought my own store, and was there 23 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that was in '82 when I had a heart attack in '80. And they opened me up and put bypasses in me, and I'm still living. I'm lucky.
How old are you now?
83.
Your wife has passed on
Yeah.
how many years ago?
98.
98, so.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah. That's right. Been a long time, but I'm still hanging in there. Trying to anyway.
Are you going to, did I hear you say something about a reunion of these?
Oh, yes.
This group that was
We got
inducted with you?
we got a
Is this just something new that's happening, or?
well, this is what my son is doing. There's tickets there that we're selling, and for the get together of this thing of all wars. That includes all wars there. Another thing, we gathered. We're going to go to see the army, and as they got it fixed up real good, as I understand, and we're having a tour on there, and a social hour, and a dinner catered, and a program. Everything.
This is open to everyone, or is it just a reunion of?
It's a reunion of veterans.
Of all.
For them and their whoever they want to bring. It's my son and George Perry. That's where ours gets to. George Perry.
What about George Perry?
That's why they get that 100 hours there instead of regular hours in a day on the back. It shows the program.
Oh. Your son served also in the Guard?
Huh?
Your son served also in the National Guard?
Oh yeah, yeah, yes. He's retired now, and he's a colonel, and he's retired.
He lives here in St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, yes.
So you have other family that served?
No, not to serve.
Your two brothers and
My one brother and one nephew did, and then now there's several of them went to service afterwards. You know, served their time if they had to, but I don't know who all was actually in service. I don't think any of them was anymore.
So you actually served more in the headquarters of this artillery unit?
Yes.
With the officer in charge?
Yeah. Captain Charlie Carr.
So how many?
Carr, C-A-R-R.
How many guns did you have? Do you have any idea?
Well, I don't know. Each outfit. So we had the B battery, A battery, B battery, Z battery, or how many? I can't remember how many we had, but each one of them had so many guns. And we were the headquarters for the whole outfit.
I see. And so you actually served under General Patton, and he deployed you where he wanted you.
Right.
He used your guns to protect his tanks, or?
Oh yeah.
Did you feel like your artillery pieces weren't? I keep hearing veterans talking about the 88s, German 88s. Were so
that was
terrible.
Yeah. Well, ours is a 8-inch howitzer, so that was probably where they got the howitzer 88s. They made something. Made them themselves, I guess.
Well, John, thank you very much for your story this morning, and I wish you well the rest of your life.
Thank you.
And I hope I can join you in this celebration in St. Mary's this fall in September.
Well,
honoring veterans.
If you would like, I got a ticket here that gives you.
That you'd sell me?
Yeah, I would sell you.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
You bet. 79, yeah.
Trouble with it.
So then it was like 45 when he got out of the service, and you were married. You married before you got out of the service, or?
Yes, we were married right after he got out of service, and so we must have been. I don't know. Never even thought about counting up to see how old he was. I know I wasn't 21 yet, because my birthday was not till January, and so we went in to get our license, and the lady wouldn't give us a license because I wasn't 21 yet, so we had to go back and get my dad.
When were you married? What date?
November the 11th. No, 13th. November 13th. 1945. So, anyway.
When did this Alzheimer's begin to affect Lloyd? What did you notice first?
Well, I think a lot of it started when he had a hip replacement. When he worked on the elevators and the irrigation, he did a lot of climbing, and his legs wore out, and he had to have this one hip went bad, and they had to replace the hip. And that lasted real well for about 10 years.
Oh my.
And then it started in again 2 years ago. And when they went in to replace it again, they found that it had been eroded so badly that they had a hard time getting it fixed this time. And I think that's what really started it again. He was under the anesthetic for too long. They finally told us that at his age and the type of injury it was, he shouldn't have been under anesthetic that long. And it kind of started it. Mm-hmm. And just went from bad to worse. Of course, he went to the nursing home first, and then it just kept getting worse and worse. And he's been there to be 2 years in August. Mm-hmm. And so...
So this picture is your 50th wedding anniversary?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Do you celebrate that here in Westmoreland or St.
St.
Mary's?
Mary's, yes.
So, how many years you been married now?
56 or 57, something like that.
Like that. Uh-huh. Okay. Turn it just a little.
This way?
Yeah, that's great. Uh-huh. Then we have some medals that Lloyd had from the service.
Mm-hmm.
We won't be able to tell about all of those, but
Well, 11 is, let's see, well, this was his "Don't Kick Our Dog" that was the emblem.
can you tip it up? Are those loose so they slide?
Oh,
No, that's good enough. Don't kick our dog.
don't kick our dog. And his dog tags.
And what's the bear?
Well, that's what he wore on his sleeve. I don't know.
I think that was the battalion.
I think so.
Well, very interesting.
So,
It's got various.
You said he was born in Nebraska.
he was born in Nebraska.
How'd you get to St. Mary's?
Well, his grandparents lived there, and his dad and mother went up to Nebraska to work on the farm with the grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was the First World War, so then they came back. His mother and dad came back to Kansas. And that's how they happened to be here.
So his father was in World War I, you say?
No, he wasn't. He was a farmer.
Just during the war time.
During the war, uh-huh. They weren't as strict in getting everybody in like they were for the World War II.
Okay, well, we thank you very much, Dorothy.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I...
Wish we had done this sooner so we could have included
Yes.
Lloyd in this.
Well, he's been really busy and
Is he in a wheelchair now?
has been in a wheelchair ever since his last surgery. But he can make it go.
Yeah.
Oh my, he just goes lickety-split up and down the halls. Over my feet, and everybody else is over the way. But,
Do you have somebody that takes you down there?
yes.
regularly?
The lady who owns the newspaper takes me down on Tuesdays when she takes the newspapers down for delivery. And then usually somebody else takes me down at least that last part of the week.
Oh, good.
So,
Well, thank you very much for telling
Well,
us about your life and his life and your life together during World War II.
well, it's been a good one.
From England across the Channel to France and all from Germany clear over to Czechoslovakia in a Jeep like that and back again several times probably. Okay, thank you. So you got home.
Yeah,